Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Hondo Carpenter. It's great to be with you. I'm also one of your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on Sports Illustrated. We're joined now by a man who is the editor and publisher of one of the finest sports aggregating sites in all the internet. It's in my favorites. It's where pop culture and sports meet, and you need to make it part of your daily reading, thespun.com. Let's bring in the great Matt Haladik. Matt, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Always a pleasure to be on with you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Good. Happy game day to you.
Happy game
And
day too. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I said happy game day too, of course. Yeah.
So Matt joins us each and every game day. Matt, let's talk about today because this is a fascinating Raider game today. It's really the toilet bowl, two of the worst teams minus the Giants. No offense. I know you're a Giants fan, but this Raider team is not quitting. They want to win. I mean, they are all in to win it. And to me, I just find it fascinating this game, the way this team is still fighting. I would love for the listeners to get your perspective as a guy who covers the NFL around the country, not just one team. What are your thoughts on this Raider team? And they just refuse to quit, even though they're getting their butts kicked. They refuse to quit with all the injuries and everything else. Would love your perspective.
Well, they are playing hard. I think that's the first thing you want to see from a rookie head coach, because this is Antonio Pierce's first full year as a head coach, even though he was the interim last year. I think that it's a precarious position for fans too, because fans feel like a lot of them probably figure, well, we need a franchise quarterback. The Raiders really haven't been shy about wanting a franchise quarterback. So the best thing to do is to lose and to get either the first or second pick. Um, but it's tough because on the field, players are not thinking about that. They're playing hard. They're playing to win. They're trying to win. Um, obviously the games shake out how they do. Fans can't control it, but and now today you're playing a team, the Jaguars, who are near the bottom of the barrel of the league too. And if the Jaguars lose today, the Jaguars could work their way into that, top 2 or 3 pick situation. So there's a lot of teams down, with 3 wins only. So there's a lot at stake, and it's just interesting. It's one of those things that's very interesting this time of the year when there's so much on the line draft wise.
Right. How fascinating is it to you? It is to me. Mark Davis, and I have spent time with him privately. I've been with him, talked to them on multiple occasions. All he wants to do is win. And I have a lot of respect for Mark. He's willing to spend any amount of money if it would win. Now, you can argue that maybe sometimes he's listened to the wrong people, but the point is, it's not a guy who's not afraid to spend money. He's not a miser. He just wants to win. I think it says a lot about his integrity that he's not sitting here today thinking, man, I hope the Raiders lose. That's just not in his DNA. He wants a win so badly. Hey, draft be damned. We'll deal with that after the season, but this is the season. I want wins. I think it says a lot about his character, and I think he takes a lot of abuse that isn't fair. And you know me, being fair is the most important thing. What does it say to you about Mark Davis knowing he needs a franchise quarterback, wanting the win so bad?
Well, I think anytime that there's a team where there's pride at a personal level as the owner, um, you get that. It's not just Mark Davis doesn't just own the Raiders. The Raiders are part of who he is because he's Al Davis' son. He grew up with them. That's a similar situation in New York with the Giants with John Mara. John Mara grew up in the franchise because of his father owning the team. He's been around the team forever. So he has been adamant that we will not tank. We will never, tank. We will not put we'll never not put the best possible product out there that we can in terms of, roster decisions and things like that. Now, obviously, both teams are losing a lot this year. Both teams are bad. But the approach from the ownership is that they want to win. They want to, and they're not necessarily worried about the draft. I think that's an admirable approach. I totally understand it. Like I said, when you are attach that personally to the team. But again, I think for fans, that just makes it such an interesting thing, because at this point, when you're 2-12, what's 3 more losses? What's, whatever, if it's going to help us in the long term. But I don't blame Mark Davis for, continuing to emphasize winning and wanting to win at all costs, even if it means dropping a few spots in the draft order.
Look, we're going to come back to the Raiders, but I got to ask you, what'd you think of Joe Burrow? He bought his offensive line Toyota Sequoias and Tundras, and the guy's not even making $1 million. Huh?
That was Purdy that did that, actually.
I'm sorry. Yes. Burrow got another one. We'll talk about that in a minute. Purdy, he's not even making $1 million a year in California, in San Francisco, with all of the taxes. It's a lot less than $1 million bring home. And he's getting his guys Toyota Sequoias and Tundras. I thought that was super cool. And it's exactly what you expect with things you hear behind the scenes about Brock.
No, that was awesome. And we've seen a lot of guys. This is the time of year with the, Christmas and the holidays, and guys go out of their way to gift their teammates stuff. And especially good for a running back or a quarterback, to take care of their offensive linemen. And that's what Brock Purdy did. Joe Burrow, I think he gave out katana swords, Japanese swords,
Correct.
which are
authentic Japanese sword. And people don't understand, if you've not been to Japan, the authentic ones. I mean, that's a $35,000 present there.
Easily,
that's a massive present.
Easily, yeah. So that's pretty wild too. That's pretty sick. But I think that it was awesome with Brock Purdy. You're purchasing new Toyotas for your entire line, and like you said, not poor by any means, but he hasn't signed his big money contract. It's not like he's getting $40-50 million a year, where it's a lot easier to make those type of purchases. So I thought it was a nice gesture from him. And I think it's obviously, hopefully for his sake, he's still got a chance to be that franchise guy in San Francisco, because if that's the case, then he's going to get that big payday.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you about a different angle on the NFL. We are watching, for various amounts of reasons, the NBA is just crashing, and they're down nearly 50% of their viewership. People are just turning off the NBA for various reasons. I don't think it's one. I think it's various. And the NFL just continues to get more popular, and more popular. I've said before with you for years that the only thing that can kill the NFL is the NFL. And at the owners' meetings last week in Las Colinas, Texas, at the Ritz-Carlton, one of the things when I was with Roger Goodell, I asked him, is about putting another off-field official upstairs who just has the ability to stop a game if he sees a play that was just missed, a penalty that was missed. And he said to me, we've already got the replay official, and we're looking at expanding that. I think this was a brilliant move by Goodell, because they have to keep improving the game. There are a lot of question marks on officiating, and I have made it said, and I've made a lot of Raider fans mad. I know too many officials to say that I think it's a league-wide conspiracy of cheating. I don't believe that. Every official I know is a man of integrity and character, but it doesn't mean that all officials are good. And I like that extra eye in the sky. I don't like the delays, but with today's technology, get a couple of these Gen Xers, not Gen Xers. I don't know what they call this new generation. What are they? Millennials?
Gen Z is the youngest guy.
Gen Z. Gen X is us, I think. But anyways, millennials, Gen Z, whatever. Get a couple of these kids like my son who can just this kid will send me highlights 60 seconds after they happen. I don't want to delay the game, but I want the game to be controversy free. What are your thoughts on Goodell and his comments to me about, expanding the role of the instant replay official?
I like it because I think, and I know I'm always somebody who I will always err on the side of accuracy, on the side of getting it right. That's why I kind of like in a different sport, MLB's enhanced, replay system. Now, I will say this. There are times when the delays can be cumbersome in baseball, in the NFL, especially in the NBA, when they're going to the monitor, or college basketball and they're reviewing every little thing. So it's not a foolproof system, but I do like the idea of expanding that replay system. And I like the idea of kind of incorporating, like you said, because we already have those quick reviews on every scoring play or every turnover, where they're looking at it right away without even needing to be challenged, and they're confirming if it was good or not. So I think that kind of expedited review, expanding that in the NFL, might be for the league's best interest, because it might be able to call out in real time if there's been blatant misses. It will be interesting if they expanded the penalties, because we've seen now almost every week there's a face mask penalty that or something like that we see that is not a ref misses it. We had the pass interference challenge thing, which did not work out well. I think they scrapped that after a year. But I do like on principle, I like the expansion of replay, because I like getting things right. And I think that that's the most important part for the game.
I want to end with the Raiders, because I think there is an interesting thing here. Mike Vrabel has become one of the hottest names right now for coaching, which I find funny because he was available last year and a lot of teams didn't go with him. He's been connected both quietly and loudly with the Raiders because of his relationship with Tom Brady. Do you think he's the hottest coaching commodity in this next cycle of NFL coaches? Number one. Number
I
two,
think.
Number two, Belichick goes to North Carolina, and everyone's talking about a $10 million buyout. But when I have spoken to NFL people, they keep saying to me, okay, if he's going to make $20 million for 4 years, he then just tells people, fine, I'll do 15 million the first two and then 20 year 3 and 4, and you pay my buyout. It's not a big deal. They've told me the $10 million buyout in North Carolina is not even close, and they think he could be coaching in the NFL this season. I'd love your thoughts.
In 2025? They think he can coach in the NFL? Wow.
Because of the $10 million buyout. I just explained why.
I think that's interesting. I mean, obviously he's gung-ho right now to North Carolina and developing that program. I am not willing to rule out a possibility of returning to the NFL in the future. I do think there's a piece of him, and you obviously know him personally, I think there's a piece of him that wants to stick it to the NFL, maybe say, hey, listen, you guys weren't that gung-ho about hiring me after I got let go in New England, or looking ahead to this cycle. Look what I could do. I can win at the college level. I still have it. It would be fascinating if he got hired before even coaching a game, before even going through an offseason at North Carolina. Getting back to Vrabel, I think because Bill Belichick is off the market, Vrabel's the biggest name that we're hearing, unless something surprising comes up. And I think that I understand, when a guy gets let go of right afterwards, sometimes maybe that there is a hesitation to hire him, or, to pick him right back up. But once you get that year away, I think people may start to look back at your resume and say, hey, this guy won. This guy did some things. He was a consistent, a good coach. And I think that when you look at the teams that are in the market for head coaches this year, that we know of, like the Jets, or even teams that have been speculated, say the Raiders moved on from Antonio Pierce, or if the Giants move on from Brian Daboll. Those are teams that have been losing a lot lately and could use, I think, a strong, experienced head coach to set the culture, set the tone there. So that's why I think Mike Vrabel would appeal to a lot of these potential teams that are going to be in the market for guys. Same thing with the Bears, too. The Bears are a franchise. Even though they're worried about, getting an offensive guy for Caleb Williams, the Bears haven't been, good really in a while, outside of a few years here and there. So they want a guy who's going to be consistent and come in and has experience and has success to set the tone.
I agree. He's the great Matt Hatalanek. Matt, tell him where to find you on X, please.
Sure, you can find me at Matt Haletic 919, and I've had a bunch of Raider fans jump on and follow me along for the ride this season. I'm always welcoming of some more people, so just come on and talk some ball with me.
See you later, my friend. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.